Hey everybody, welcome back to the Greenwich channel. This is another edition of the Wake and Blake, and I'm having to re-record this video because the footage got corrupted and I could not salvage it. So it's a little later than anticipated. However, the content is here, so rejoice and be happy. Um, Got some double delicious tangerine dream with me, and this stuff is pretty good and tasty. I'm not going to do a review on this, but that is certainly what I've been enjoying. uh, I'm going to do a whole video series on these things. Well, not a video series, I'm going to do a whole video on these cartridges, because man, there are some really intense technologies that are going into these cartridges, and I think it's important that, because they're a new technology, well, they're not a new technology, but they're new to a lot of people. So it's kind of important to break down um, why these are useful, why they're helpful, what kind of problems they could that could arise through the process of buying and using cartridges, and to kind of help educate people so they know what they're looking for, so they can get something that actually fits their style. I know that these make great presents if you're looking for someone who likes to consume cannabis but doesn't particularly care for the smell of the flower, or doesn't particularly care for the mess of a dab rig and the bangers, and knowing what kind of bangers or nails or torches and tools. And it's like, there's a lot that goes into that, and some people just really want one of these things. So if you're out of Christmas ideas and you are in a recreational state that sells these are a pretty good thing to give someone if they're into cannabis, especially if they haven't tried them before. And certainly try and find something delicious for them to vape on. Or, well, it's not vaping, it's it is kind of vaping. I don't know what the hell to call it. But this is hardly the news that I wanted to talk about. The news I actually really wanted to talk about, there's two things I really wanted to talk about. The first one being that New York is talking about doing recreational cannabis. This was an announcement by Andrew Cuomo, who is their governor. And he's like, it's about time. We need to stop procrastinating. The time is now. This seems to be a flip-flop from his 2016 position, but I am a firm believer that with the right kinds of education and the right kind of influence, people can be persuaded. And it appears that this person has been persuaded to change his mind. So I think that that's an okay thing. I think that this spells good news for cannabis and the movement to make it federally legal. I do believe that the more states that make this recreationally legal, the less choice the federal government will have in the matter. Because at that point, the federal government is basically just not adhering to the will of the people, and it will be blatantly obvious the more states that legalize cannabis for both medical and recreational use. There are far more states that are doing medical than are doing recreational, and I think that that's probably par for the course, considering medical definitely did start first. And I think that people want the opportunity to try things in a medical way, which has a limited amount of people that can qualify, so they can kind of help figure out what kind of regulation and what kind of policy they need to put in place to keep people safe, and to keep people having easy to access places for them to get their cannabis, so they don't have to rely on a black market, which clearly the government is against at a local and at a federal level. So one of the cool things that's happening in the medical world is that there's now there's another FDA approved product that is aiming towards certain rare types of epilepsy called Epidiolex. The main active ingredients is cannabidiol, which they claim is extracted from cannabis sativa. So I've always been curious on how they get grants for this kind of research, and the parent company who is doing this is Greenwich Biosciences, which is another U.S. company. This company is, if they aren't already huge with, if this medication works for the kinds of epilepsy that it is claiming to be effective for, this could mean absolutely amazing things for the company. They will probably get lots and lots of money from this, which is, we accuse the pharmaceutical companies of being greedy for. So I guess we'll see at this point kind of how far they take that, what kind of moves they make. And I'll post links in the description for these guys. Um, I'll also post a link from the Greenwich Biosciences thing saying where their products are in the clinical to phase, what phase they're on, the submission and approval processes. They do have a few other products. Talk to your doctor about this stuff. I just am making, I'm just going, hey, look, hey, look. And if you suffer from any of these conditions, it's probably in your best interest to consult your doctor and not someone like me. So, it is almost the end of the year, and I noticed that there's probably some people who were wondering where some of the grow room content is, and you are right to wonder. We are certainly trying to get some of these things rolling with the channel. Things are not moving the way that we were hoping they would move, and I think that kind of sucks, but sometimes you just got to roll with life. And what the cool thing is this gives us an opportunity to do other cannabis related content that isn't directly related to the grow room. We have a lot of information to provide. We have a lot to show in the grow room. It's just not going to be the typical content that you would see in a typical grow room season. So I think that ultimately there are things to look forward to, and we are hoping to get more people involved, and we want to really hear from some of these farms and some of these producers and some of these storefronts and ask some questions that I think people really want to know the answer to. Because as much as the typical questions probably get answered, sometimes things are a little bit more complicated than a 20-second soundbite from the local media, and sometimes those questions require conversation to really answer. And I think that it is beneficial to get consumer feedback and also feedback from the industry, in which is actually pushing the horizons of what cannabis can do and what kind of products are being brought to market and how those products are being brought to market. So I would definitely like to get more feedback from these guys to figure out where they're at and what they're wanting to do, and especially highlight some of the cooler ones that are really taking the extra step to bring a safe and clean and hopefully organic product to market to help people either get over their daily life issues or something more serious and medical. So all in all, I think the cannabis industry is moving in a positive direction. I just think that we need to definitely be careful and be on guard for big business to do what big business does, and that is just throw astronomical amounts of money at things until they get their way. Or at least that's what we accuse them of doing. So if we're going to operate under that presupposition, then we need to arm our regulations on a state level to make sure that they cannot strong arm smaller businesses out of the industry that they help create from the ground up. Because we certainly don't want bigger industries to hijack an industry in which they had no part in creating. I don't think that anyone that I've talked to is on board with that. So the better we protect ourselves from companies doing those things, the better. I know that Altria, the company that owns Marlboro, invested $1.8 billion in the Cronus Group. And, again, while that sounds like a great idea and it sounds like something that would just absolutely be a wonderful thing, I think that we did just need to be careful. And as the new year starts and we get a fresh perspective on these things, then we can hopefully move forward and keep doing awesome things medically, keep doing awesome things recreationally, and keep the industry moving in a positive direction, because it's not very often in which you get to actually build an industry from the ground up. And in doing so, we get to prove that the people involved in the cannabis industry are people to be taken seriously. They're formidable, they're intelligent, they're smart, they're hardworking. And the more we highlight those smart people, hardworking people, the good-natured people who don't take shortcuts, I think the better chance we have at being taken seriously. And so it is kind of our responsibility as consumers to make sure that we are supporting companies that actually are parallel to the kind of image that we want to set for the rest of the country, who is very closely looking at us. And whether it's just because of cannabis or if it's business related, and we need to show them that this can happen in a responsible way. So, happy holidays. I love you. Stay orangey. Always flush responsibly. New content coming soon. Be excited or don't. But I love you anyways.